Hi there. Welcome to Creation Station Monthly. I'm Bob from Creation Station. This is our monthly show where we spend a good chunk of an hour talking with two strangers who have never met before they showed up on this platform just 5 minutes ago about something that they're passionate about. Today is all about audiobooks. Before you even think about it, audiobooks count as reading.
Oh my gosh, don't even say that out loud. Why? Why would you say such a thing?
Because it is. This is the library. We believe in everybody should be able to get everything.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
Miss Amanda, get us started. Give us your nutshell of what you go on. And Tavia, follow up right with her.
Okay, so I am a librarian and a podcast host and a very, very amateur audiobook narrator. I have, let me just flip my hair here, 3 audiobooks under my belt. And I'm
everything
so
counts.
impressed. But no, most of my life revolves around being in the library and then also talking about books.
What library are you at? Let people know.
I work at the Saline County Library. I'm the branch manager of the brand new tiny baby East End branch library that I built myself. I put the floor in and everything.
Explain, what state are you in?
Arkansas. This is Arkansas. Sorry. Yes.
You're just so used to only talking to your local people.
Right? I know.
Yeah. Wait till you hear how many people in Belgium listen to this.
I have family in Belgium. Hello, family.
Excellent.
Listening to this. Cool. I'm sure that they are.
Yeah. We've got a surprising number of people in Europe that listen to the show nowadays. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Tavia, tell us about you.
Yes. First, thank you so much for inviting me to join you. I'm so pleased to be here. And it's always so fun to be a part of events for June as Audiobook Month because audiobooks have been my life for 17 years, I believe. I live currently in Nyack, New York, which is a small village on the Hudson River north of Manhattan. And I have been narrating, directing, producing audiobooks, listening and loving audiobooks full-time since 2007. So audiobooks are a lot of my life. And for the last 8 years or so, podcasts have also been a great deal of my life. So I am in audio all day, most every day. And Amanda, it's so cool that you built the library, that you actually built the library. How impressive is that?
Thank you. The library was really needed in my community. The library system that I'm a part of had only had 2 locations for the longest time, and people were complaining about, I have to drive 30 minutes to go to my local library. And so I said, nah, let's not do that anymore. Let's try to get one in your community too. And so now we have one. And it's tiny and cute. Thank you.
And congratulations on 3 audiobooks, because I have done over 1,000 books, but I remember that first one, second one, third one, we all start in the same place with zero books. So you're right on the right path.
And tell me about that for both of you, because you've both also mentioned podcasts. So tell me, what do you think is a difference in recording for an audiobook versus recording on a podcast?
I mean, it's can be completely different. Podcast is just the name of a delivery style of audio. So a podcast can be fiction, nonfiction. It can be 2 minutes to 2 hours or more. It's such an undefined name. So for me, I host some podcasts. I write narrative scripts on some podcasts. There are fiction podcasts. You know, it's such a wide genre. Audiobooks is a much more specific genre of audio. I think. Amanda, would you define them any differently than?
Oh gosh, no. My podcast is all about talking about books, and then when you think of it, I'm just telling you so much about this book, and I have to say every single word and pronounce every single thing perfectly in this one. And then when you're editing them and mastering them yourself too, you're like, well, crap, I have to go and redo that entire thing. I have to edit all of that out. But with the podcast, I've given up the the perfection of it a little bit, and I'm like, it's
Mm.
fine. Just whatever words come out, just go with it. It's fine. I'm not even gonna edit it anymore. I don't care. I don't care at this
Yeah.
point.
It's a lot of work. Both of them, I think, are a lot of
So
work.
much work. So much more work than anyone ever thinks, I think, too.
Yes.
Mm,
Agreed.
yeah, I teach a small class on podcasting for the library. Yeah, there's a lot more work that goes into it and getting stuff out there. Nobody's going to be rich on podcasts.
No, never. We can dream, though. Don't take that dream away from
I'm
us.
determined. If I'm happy to become wealthy through
become the
podcasts,
exception.
so.
That's a good thing. That's a great story.
Bring me with you if that happens.
I think I'll just say this little plug that I say wherever I can, that I don't believe in any starving artists. I think that artists and creatives should be compensated well for their hard work and their multi-layered work. So I'm all for breaking.
Oh yeah. Pay your artists, folks.
Absolutely.
And speaking of that, you have done, and I appreciate very much you taking time out of your schedule to be here on the show today with us.
Sure.
You do your own teaching and mentoring people, coaching them for how to do their audio work. Tell me, who was your mentor? How did you get into this? What was your start there? Is it just that you were a little kid and wouldn't shut up, or what? And Amanda,
are you talking to me? Or
yeah, you.
Oh, we want to know about you here. I'm not interesting. You're the
yes, you
that's
are.
not true.
Yes, you
That's
are.
not true at all. Librarians are some of the most interesting people on the planet. They're stealthy too, because I think the librarian persona has this veneer of like a quiet person, and I think librarians are brilliant researchers, amazing readers, community connectors, and many more things. So you are interesting. I have like different starting points, I guess. One, you said, who's my mentor? I can tell you whose voice inspired me to want to do this, and it was Davina Porter, who I know many, many people will know from the Outlander series and from many other hundreds of audiobooks. Isabel Dalhousie from the Sunday Philosophers Club series, beautiful work. And when I was in acting school in Seattle, I went to the library to get audiobooks on cassette for my drive home to Idaho to visit my family for a holiday, and put that cassette in my Dodge Neon, and Davina Porter's voice came out of the speakers, and I started weeping and thought, I want to do that. I want to do that. I sort of fell in love, and you can hear in my voice my emotion. Like I will never forget that moment. And meeting her later, we were at a mixer years and years later, and she came up the stairs in this New York pub, and I recognized her and went over to her and burst into tears and said, "You're the reason I'm in audiobooks. It was you." And she was so lovely, and she just gently took my hand and she said, "Take your time, dear." So she gave me space to emote, but really, like, the first listening experience is so key to converting listeners to passionate listeners, and apparently converting passionate fans into audiobook experts. So that's one of my stories. What about you, Amanda?
Oh gosh. Okay.
So
my story is not as emotional as yours, but I think probably the first, I mean, I've listened to audiobooks like my entire life, but January Lavoie is one of my absolute favorite human beings to listen to. And listening to her do the Diviners series by Libba Bray, she did over 300 voices in that series, and we got to interview her on Fictional Hangover about it. And I got to tell her that she's three people in a trench coat. And she was like, "Oh,
I love that.
You." But yeah, she's probably the reason why I wanted to try to stick my foot in a door of doing audiobooks. But she was so amazing to talk to, and that's so cool that I get to do this with Fictional Hangover, like, just email random strangers that I'm obsessed with. Like, "Hi, can you come and talk to me on my podcast, please?" And they say yes, and they're all so kind. It's amazing. It's an amazing world. I also got to interview Elise Green
Mm-hmm.
Producer, and she is astounding. She produced one of my most favorite audiobooks to listen to. She did Don Kurtigich's books, and Don Kurtigich is one of my favorite horror authors, and just listening to her and like what she did to those books, it was amazing. So I got to also squee at her a little bit, and that was really fun.
That's so cool. She and I share a birthday, so we just had a birthday last week. So
She's
we have this connection.
I love it. She's so precious, and
She
like,
is.
we still stay in touch. I mean, just Facebook, but like
Mhm.
I get to comment on her little outfits and suggest we buy
Oh my
hats. And she's
gosh.
like, yes, of course.
She dresses, I think, exclusively in the most delicious fashion, beautiful dresses of the 50s.
Doesn't she?
And she is just, it's gorgeous. And another kind of art is her fashion
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
I look up to her a lot, and she
Yeah.
thought I was silly saying that, but it's true. My gosh, she's so talented.
Oh,
So how
totally.
many authors do you think okay, we're not going to name names to withhold the so we can be as honest as possible. But which
Protect the
authors are
innocent.
out there? Yeah. Which authors are out there that are good at reading their own books versus going out and having a more professional voice do it? And or why is there a difference, I suppose? Because way back when I first started listening to books, I was like, well, no, I want the author to tell me because I want the author's emotion to do.
Mhm.
And then doing Harry Potter, and my wife was like, no, do all the voices. And I'm like, I can't do voices. So tell me, how does that work for you two? Is between real author versus narrating and getting the author's emotions?
Amanda, I'm curious to hear what you think in response to that. What makes for a great author read?
I think the most important thing, and there's one author that's in my head, and I want to say their name out loud, but I'm not going to, is that she, they really know the world that they're in,
Mm.
and they know the characters inside and out, and they know things about the characters that the reader or the listener has no idea. They know the characters' dreams, and we only know them on the page or, in your headphones. And so they know absolutely everything about them. So maybe if their voice isn't the best or isn't the most suited to it, whatever, they know everything that's going on in those characters' lives, so they can tell the story in a way that no one else can.
Mm. I think the difference between a really skilled author read and one that's not as successful is a very present, active, emotionally connected, vulnerable read. No book that is an expert audiobook, a transcendent work of audio craft, is a reading of the text aloud. It's spoken word. It's off the page, and some actors are great at that, and some authors are great at that, and many aren't. So um, I always want to hear the best person for the job, and often that's the author, and when it's not, it's not. But that's the work is alive no matter what. Should be alive no matter what.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's always, the topics always start getting crazy about, oh wait, we find out more details than we ever thought we needed to know. I'm jumping right to one of my normal middle topics, but tell me what you think society thinks about this. As I teasingly said at the beginning, because in libraries we always insist, no, listening is reading. This counts for your summer learning, folks. This show
Absolutely.
counts for your summer learning also, by the way.
Yeah.
So what is it that you think about in society of doing that? Tavia, I think you started to touch on that one. Why do they think that, or what do you think that you wish they knew better about
I,
audiobooks and about the narrating part of it?
yeah. I mean, I think that there's a misconception that it's not an acting job. It is an acting job. Nonfiction is an acting job as much as fiction. people who do think that it's an acting job think that we're getting royalties like film and television, and we don't. The vast, like 99.5% of audiobooks there are no royalties involved. So for the most part, once we finish that job and we bill our publisher, we go on to the next job. So and your facial expression shows me that you feel compassion for us.
I definitely feel compassion for that. And I really did think that it was like, okay, well, this must be kind of like the SAG-AFTRA thing of tiny little minuscule residuals coming in. But I didn't think there was nothing.
Largely SAG-AFTRA. And I think that's something that I want the general public to know, is that it is mostly a union industry. And our union protects our rates and keeps us healthy and guarantees us pension and health insurance, which allows us to do that work and have professional lives. And so I'm so grateful to be a member of SAG-AFTRA and so proud to be a member of SAG-AFTRA. And they've advocated for a lot, but that's just not been a part of the industry overall. But I do think that it's a beautiful thing, that it's an acting job, and that our work is to inhabit these stories and characters and bring a lot of craft to it.
Amanda, you do your own books. So when the ones you've narrated, obviously you're making the money off the ones you've narrated of your own books, right?
Sure.
I mean, I'm questioning whether you actually can. So how does that work for you when you actually publish it? When you put it out there on Libro is the independent one, other than the like Spotify and Amazon and Audible from Amazon. Tell me about that. How does that work?
Well, for
rethinking everything,
for the small fries who haven't, gotten their big break or who are just doing it because they love to do it, my story is different. I got started using ACX, and that's pennies for the narrator. It's all, if you don't do a pay by hour, for your completed work, it is royalties, and it's literal pennies. So the books that I've narrated, they haven't really sold a lot, but I wanted to do it so I could learn how, so I could get better. And I mean, 2 of them were for my friends who are published authors. So it's just like, yeah, you're going to give me a chance to put a voice to your characters. Sure. I love it. This isn't what, I would love to do this full time and, get paid and do all of those fantastic things. But I'm a librarian. I'm a podcast host. I do audiobooks in the hopes of one day, maybe something will come of it, but I do it because I love it. And I'm okay with that. I know a lot of people would, this is their career, and that would be amazing, but that's not me right now. So
many people have started through ACX, though.
Sure.
A lot of people who are,
yeah,
it can be a conduit. So that's a starting point that is a totally legitimate place to begin an audio.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm glad that I was able to connect with the people that I connected with, and it's amazing. And like, I learned all of this from Seattle Voice Academy. We lived in Seattle for a few years, and so I went there and got to learn some things, and that's how I got started. And it's a lot of fun, and I wish I could do it more, but I'm happy with what I'm doing now, and being a librarian and pushing audiobooks. I mean, very kindly suggesting people listen to audiobooks, not forcing anyone.
Exactly. Gently.
Yes.
Steering. No, yeah. I mean, I think that librarians, interestingly, would make for great audiobook narrators, because so much of what we do entails research and deep reading skills and things that librarians inherently have as part of their toolkit in life. So I think it's a really natural, probably conduit for a crossover. And we really need librarians to be steering people gently towards audiobooks. So yes. We are all thanking you so much, Amanda.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I'm I'm a children's librarian on the inside, always. I'm 12. I'm 12 on the inside, everyone, just so we all know that. So I've always like done story time and done silly voices, and it just seems like I read aloud every single day of my life, so I might as well record it while I'm doing it.
I love that.
Tell us about the equipment you guys are using for that, though, because I mean, just getting started. Obviously, you don't have a full-blown Creation Station music like we have down here, where we've got the whole podcasting booth and everything. But tell me about what you're doing, Amanda, out there. Just because you're doing some podcasting, are you using the same equipment to record your books as podcasting, or is there a tweak to that?
No, I'm using the same stuff. I started out, as every baby podcaster starts out, with a Blue Yeti, and I have progressed. I have a Rode NT1A mic now, and it's not $1 million mic, but I love it, and it's taking care of me as I lean over and try to pet it a little bit. So I mean, it's not the most expensive thing in the world, but I think a lot of it is what you put into it. And obviously, you're not going to record with the microphone that's on your computer, because there's no quality in that, but you got to put passion into your voice too. It helps a little bit.
I agree with that for sure. I really love that audiobooks and podcasting are pretty streamlined with the tech. So lots of people are super into technology and love it. I just don't. I want to think about the art and craft of it more than the hardware. So I have a Rode NT2A mic and a Neumann TLM 103, a Scarlett 212 Focusrite.
Me too.
So cute. I love that.
Yes, it's
so
precious.
Adorable. A preamp. I use Pro Tools. And then my booth is behind me. So I have a recording booth, and that's my equipment. I use everything for everything I do. No change in the tech.
So do you read off of, I'm guessing you read off of screens because you don't want to be shuffling pages as you're trying to do this. Right. Is it something, do you get a book ahead of time to record, or you have to wait for the book to come out, or how does that work for you?
It's a bit different. Sometimes I'll get a lot of lead time. Like somebody might give me 2 months to do a book. Sometimes somebody might have a rush project and, are you available to bang this out by the end of the week? I don't think it's been like that for a while. I like to work with plenty of time to prepare. But when I'm in my booth, I have my keyboard, an iPad with the manuscript, a screen behind it with the Pro Tools running, and my mic. And then the rest of the equipment is outside of the booth, and I'm self-recording, self-directing mostly. Sometimes I have a director, sometimes I'm in the studio, but mostly I'm working from home, and turning in chapter by chapter after I've fully prepared and read the book and thought about it and gotten ready to record.
How long does that normally take to record? I guess I don't have an idea in my mind of how pages to audio.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking a 300-page book, I think takes like 3 hours. Just in the back of my head is what I feel like, but that maybe just drive time is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. So it's about 160 words per minute, or about 9,500 words per hour. The industry works in finished hours. So if you hear a 10-hour finished hour-long book, we think about it then in 10 finished hours, we're paid our rate times 10. When I know from a client who says this book is about a 10-hour book, it will take me about 15 hours to record a 10-hour long book. For a new narrator, it might take 60 hours to record a 10-hour book, because my ratio after 1 million books is 1.5 to 1. A new person might be 6 to 1, 4 to 1. A professional should be at 2 to 1. So that's a learning curve that you build up to. And so we do a lot of sort of math and extrapolation of time and estimates, but it's pretty clear cut.
How about you, Amanda? Do you have any idea?
Well, in my head, I only think about podcasting, because like I edit my own stuff too. And when I first started out podcasting, I was like, oh my God, it takes 8 hours to edit one episode. What in the world? But now I can edit my own voice in my sleep almost, and speed things up, and I know what I'm looking for. I know what cues I know what things I've said. So the more you do it, the faster you get. So, or you've just given up after 300 episodes and go, just forget it. Just forget it. It's fine.
We don't do any post-processing around here. We take the live
Just
stream and
let
put
it
it out
go.
there. Yep. So one of the things we always ask people is, what is the end goal for you for being able to do these? What is and mostly because at some point I always ask, can you make a career out of this? But you guys have both already made careers out of this. And you guys are prescient, and that you've already indicated to people how you can do this and take your steps to make this into a career. So tell me, what is the end game for audiobooks as you're doing them? Because I can picture in my mind, it was just you said cassette tapes, and I'm like, yeah, I had cassettes and 8 tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what's the next thing that we're going to be getting to? Spatial audio? I don't know. Do they do full surround sound recordings now for audiobooks?
I think more for like audio fiction, audio drama.
Okay.
Less for audiobooks, because that's often a solo voice or 2 solo voices. So yeah, I don't know what's coming technologically. I want to continue to do projects that I love and I'm proud of, and make the world a better place in podcasts and in storytelling. And I have a production company. I want that to grow. I want more people to have careers and opportunities, and I want to do more books and also take more pictures, develop my photography life. I'm a photographer as well. So
There you go.
I dream of having a company that allows me some freedom to pursue an entirely different craft and build that. And spend more time in the library. I actually really want to spend more time in the library. I miss libraries.
When you get a chance to come down, we have a moon rock. What about you? What about you, Amanda?
I agree. Who knows where the world of audiobooks are going to go. But I myself, I had dreams of recording some audiobooks. I always have dreams of someone like picking up and paying me to do fictional hangover, like, someone actually sponsoring the show, but haha, that's funny. But my lifelong dream now is to be the voice of a cartoon character. I'm 12. Like I said, I'm 12 on the inside. I want to be a cartoon character. Let me do it. Just let me do it. I do puppet shows in the library. Record me doing that and put my tiny puppet, turn him into a cartoon. That would be amazing. That's my dream. But
you do good stuff with those, Amanda.
Thank you. But right now I'm content in opening this new library in my community and seeing new people come in the library every day, especially when they didn't have one. And so, like, we just started, you were talking about the summer learning program, we just started ours. We had our very first real program just a month ago, and I was expecting to have, like, I don't know, 25, 30 kids. There were 110. So wow. I was like, yes, this is my dream, my little library. And now I've got little kids coming in and enjoying the space. So that's where I am.
You're going to be recording stuff there soon, I have a feeling.
So that's so beautiful, Amanda. Yeah. I just want to say, I think that's extraordinary. And think about all the lives that are being touched with a library that now takes out that 30-minute distance. That makes such a measurable difference and contribution in people's lives, from children to every age.
Yeah.
And I feel like public libraries are not just a place to get media. They are gathering spaces. They uphold democracy. They uphold information and the quality of information. They are powerful forces. So that's just remarkable. You had 4 times what you hoped for.
I know.
Incredible.
It was really amazing, and it makes me happy every day to think about it. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, especially where I'm living in the South, where people
Uh-huh.
don't necessarily love libraries or what, you know, we are currently doing. And just being able to be that safe space for people is huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The former director of my library she was fired because of her stand that she took, and now she's winning the Lemony Snicket Award at ALA. So, like, you
Yeah. Libraries do
librarians
good
are a
stuff. Yeah,
big deal,
we
man.
do some good stuff
They
out
are.
there.
Yes.
They
So
are.
now tell me about that. I mean, I'm going to let you go first with this one. Tell me what kind of help you wish you had to get started in this?
Um, I think a lot of mine is really the reason why I wanted to get into doing it is because it was something that I already enjoyed doing. So I guess that, you know, I just really like learning and doing stuff on my own and testing stuff out. And like I said, I'm glad I got to spend some time at Seattle Voice Academy, but I just wish that I had someone who, yeah, I had the means or the connections or something for someone to just pick me up and be like, "Oh, yeah, here you are, and now you're already a very wealthy and experienced professional. Here you go." Like, just drop you right into it. But I also enjoy learning and making myself better and trying. So, you know, but I can always still wish that someone would be like, "Wow, you have an amazing voice for this, you know, tiny cartoon character. Let's do it." I can dream, but I'm also realistic at the same time.
Dreams are good.
Dreams are good. Dreams are good. I feel like I actually did have a lot of support, and the support that I had is available to other people as well, still today. I joined the Audio Publishers Association, which is linked at audiopub.org, and that is the professional trade organization for audiobooks. They have a really robust and long-term level of support for audiobook narrators, continuing education, mixers with casting decision makers, the Audio Publishers Association conference, which gives you an opportunity to become a part of that trade organization, build relationships, network, connect with people who will grow your career or with whom you can grow your own career. It gives you a place to take action. And now, so I would recommend that people plug into that if they're interested in us being narrators. Audiophile Magazine was a really big resource for me and is a wonderful resource for the audiobook industry, and people should subscribe and read and learn about the audiobooks themselves and the industry behind it. And PANA is a newer organization that was not in existence when I was starting out, but it's the Professional Audiobook Narrators Association. And that's a tremendous organization that is doing such incredible work on all sorts of levels for training narrators, and supporting diversity in the audiobook industry. So those organizations were key to my growth. PANA, will be as integral to new narrators as these others were to me, but people can plug into them. And this is an industry that is a career industry. So it is available to people.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because that's one of the things I'm really keen on exploring is diversity in every, all the different places, so that we don't just have a standard set of, the same old people, the same old faces on TV, the same old reporters, etc. Where is that? How does that work with? Because I know some of the people you've helped teach are right in that same ballpark. How does that work for the community? Because, and Amanda, we're coming back to you on this one too, because you teased about it, but everybody wants the voices, everybody wants the different things. And how do you train or teach someone to get a diverse range of those voices without it being one person doing 300 voices?
I think you're talking about a couple different things, perhaps. I think
Probably.
the industry overall has become a more diverse industry in the last few years, as publishing has become slightly more diverse. Publishing is still white, middle class, or upper class there's a lot of privilege and there's a lot of homogeneity in it, white, straight, cis characters and writers and people getting published. But it used to be really virtually entirely white with a few exceptions. Now we've got a lot more diversity, which makes us a much healthier and much more sustainable industry. The diversity of voices, I mean, I think it takes a lot of integrity, thoughtfulness, education, and care when, as a white woman, I am narrating 300 characters, playing 300 different voices, and there are voices that are not white, cis, heterosexual like me. So I need to be respectful, informed, and just thoughtful, mindful as I make those character voices. And that is trainable, and people are, there is education about how to approach character voice differentiation that is informed. So I think, but I think the most important thing is that people are being cast for the roles that are written for their diverse selves. So we've got, if we need to find somebody with a plethora of backgrounds across the globe and socioeconomic background, gender identity, those actors are out there. So we can find them, and we don't have to play, they don't have to be all white voices playing at diverse voices.
Tell me about that, Amanda. You want to be the anime character?
Yeah, I want to be the voice of a cartoon frog, not the voice of someone that, has lived a rich life that is completely different to my own. That's not fair. I would hate to do that. I would hate, sure, if I was the only person you could find to narrate an audiobook, I mean, I guess I would try it, but I would rather help you find someone who's more fitting. That's not for me. I believe that, oh gosh, you don't need to hear this white girl do any voices other than perhaps that cartoon frog. It's not okay.
When you're listening, Amanda, you listen. The two of you blow me way out of the water for how many I listen to at all. Of the ones you listen to, are they? My understanding is most of this of the whole audiobook category, almost all of it is all single voice people doing, rather than having multiple people record and then splicing that together later on. Am I correct in that?
It's still a lot of single voice, but there are a lot of dual voice. That's a big part of it.
Okay.
Some back and forth, some audio drama, some multicast. So, 4 sections of the book, so 4 different voices. It's kind of widening. I think historically it was one solo voice doing everything, and that's still a lot, but it's more interesting, more diverse than that these days.
I just listened to my Corlin's 5 Broken Blades, and there's 5 or 6 different narrators that do that one, and it's so good. You just swoon at everybody, and there's a narrator per character, but then those characters in those chapters narrated by that one person, they also have to narrate the other characters when they come into contact with them, and it's amazing to hear how similarly some of them have done each other's voices and some of them not. And it's well, you can tell they probably weren't sitting right next to each other when they were narrating this book, but it's so good and they've all done such a good job. So
it sounds like they did their homework so that they coordinated the voices, which is what we do.
Yeah, it was so good. That's a really good book. Everyone should go and listen to that one as I reach back to grab the arc off my shelf. That was such a good book. Oh.
Now you've got me thinking, Amanda, for live action role playing. If you're doing a Twitch stream of a live play of a role playing game, are we now moving into? Is that now audio drama, like the old fashioned radio plays?
It's a great question.
I would say yes. There's some people that I met when I lived in South Florida, where you are, Bob. that are now doing that sort of thing. They've created a game and now they're recording themselves playing it, and they're doing all of the voices and stuff, and they bring in more people to help and more people to play, and it's just evolving. It's really cool. I think a lot of that though we have, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, COVID to thank for that, because we were all stuck in our houses and we can't do anything with any of our friends. So, well, here's a microphone. Let's talk across the country or whatever. I think it's just it's opening
I've
doors.
been running
But
my
ooh,
D&D game online for 20 some plus years. So yeah,
Aw,
I
that's
taught a lot of
awesome.
people during that time frame. I taught a lot of people how to do this.
that's really
So,
cool.
but yeah, I used to, when I was younger, participate in like radio play reenactments of old time things where we had 6 of us around and you hit the bang and you
Mhm.
shuffle the things for the noise effects and everything like that. Do you think where does that fall for what you're trying to teach someone? The single person in the room in the recording booth there, where okay, be quiet, read, do this, versus this idea of multiple people doing it together. From your comment earlier, I'm guessing nobody ever does this in the same room, or rarely.
Sometimes I think some people do, rarely, yes. But what I would teach is not I would teach some different mic technique and sort of placement and that part of the craft, but it's the same acting work. One might be bigger, we're always working within the context of the world and the book and the character, but it should be active, present, not reportage about something that happened, but something that is happening right now. The moment the characters are in the moment. So it's the same acting technique, it's the same connection to the material. The actor's job is to inhabit the material, not to play at it, but to be within it. So that technique, I think, carries over. Even as I said, nonfiction, it's still a person with a mind, a soul, a point of view, a passion, explaining something, sharing something. So that's just as active to me as audio drama. Technically, some different considerations, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, same gig.
Okay, Amanda, I got the deep one for you now.
Oh no, don't give me.
So,
Remember, 12 on the inside. 12 on the inside.
yes. So
12-year-olds are deep.
I just ran a role-playing session with a bunch of teenagers and tweens, and yeah, trust me, they get deep into it really fast. The question we always ask, you're both very successful in what you do and how you do it and all of your things. I want to know about the failure you had and how you turned that and built off of that to make the next thing right.
I think one of my biggest failures is in the podcasting world, and it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing, but we had a conversation. My co-host Claire lives in the UK, and she's amazing. We actually finally got to meet in real life for the first time last year after podcasting together for like 5 years. That was really cool. Neither here nor there. But we had a guest on one of our episodes, and she went into it telling us, man, this book, like, it's one of my favorites, but it's terrible and I hate it, but I still love it at the same time. And so we went into this thinking, oh yeah, okay, so we can goof around with this book and be like, yeah, maybe it wasn't the very best book, but this part was great and this part was great. Whew, she did not take that position when we were speaking to her, and then she called us names afterwards. So that was not very fun. So we've learned that, maybe we need to vet people a little bit more before we invite them to be a part of our show, because we went in with one idea and we thought we were all on the same page, but yikes, it was not that way when we got finished. And it was a bummer. And I was just thinking, my God, I'm so glad I know how to edit, because I was able to fix it and make it sound not quite so horrible. But yeah, we don't talk about that episode anymore. You just brought up like fresh wounds. I've opened it
PTSD,
up. Yes.
podcast PTSD.
Yes. Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was probably the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And learning from it. I almost want to say, like, don't be honest when you're talking to people, but that's not the lesson that anyone needs to learn from that. But I guess it's just maybe my lesson is that we should have edited a little bit better. We should have paid more attention to things before we had this person on our show. And then learn really well how to edit and fake stuff, Amanda. And she did, and it was fine.
Tell us, what do you think, Tay?
Yeah, I think, I have a lot of failures that I could refer to. I failed to write a story I failed to share with the subjects of a very difficult, very sensitive story, the episode in advance. We had permissions, release forms, so it would have been a courtesy to share with them the episode before it went out. And this was a narrative episode, so it was something where we took interviews and I shaped the narrative and told the story. They were, they had a really strong emotional response to knowing that their story was out in the world and they hadn't yet heard it. And what we did right was that we had been so rigorous about fact checking, having multiple ears, multiple phases of listening, consideration of the narrative, and all of the sensitivities around it, that when they did hear it, they loved it. So that was good. But I think it really taught me just to honor people's need to feel safe because they know what is happening, not just cover the technical need to get a release form, but really engage in a thoughtful way with the people who are giving their story over to you to do something with in the world. They need some time and space and good editing.
I'm lucky that what I deal with is just people talking about books. It's nothing. I mean, people do develop really important relationships with books, but it's nothing that serious. And I'm lucky in that because, we're just people goofing off behind a microphone, talking about books, sharing things that we love.
I think that the people who do Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings want to have a word with you, Amanda.
Now, I'm just talking about books. I'm not talking about recording books at this instance. So,
or commenting on them.
Yes.
Judging. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky that I don't have to deal with such serious things.
Tavia, how about your equipment? What's your dream equipment? What is it that you don't have yet that you really want? What's the ultimate equipment piece for an audiobook?
I want a beautiful 2 or 3 times size whisper room. And it's not going to happen in this home. And this is my forever home. So that's really all I dream of.
Describe a whisper room for people who don't know.
Yeah, my whisper room I've had forever, like 15 years. It's on casters, so it's off the floor. It's double walled. So there's a wall and then a pocket of air and then another wall on the floor and ceiling. My booth fits in the corner of my office. So it's the smallest possible model, a 4x4x5, so just enough room to get in, sit down, turn around, and close the door behind me. It is tiny, and I would love just a luxury of space, but not in this lifetime, I'm imagining.
How about it, Amanda? What's your piece of equipment?
That would be the dream, wouldn't it? Like, just to have a place that you can go into that is completely silent, no matter what is happening. Like right now, I'm just recording in a safe room essentially, but I've got some sound blocking things, but then there was a cat outside my door about 10 minutes ago that you probably heard. Like, the dream is to have this like quiet, beautiful, perfect space where you can like stretch out and move your arms a little bit. That would be amazing.
You
I'm
do
just
have the
on
most
stage.
amazing background.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Like
thank you.
your space just looks beautiful. So
Thank you.
safe
Thank you.
room, library, excellence.
I didn't actually know that it was a real thing from the background of the podcast. For some reason, it struck in my
Oh.
mind like that's a background.
Oh,
not
no.
like all real shelves.
No, I can reach
Yeah.
off and like grab my little dolls back here if I needed to and have them perform for you. But
I'm
no,
just
these
on a
are
vacant stage here in an auditorium talking. So
That's
you guys
cool
have it
though.
much better.
Yeah.
Stage. Give me a stage.
300 people
Good.
sometimes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It's a great thing. Okay, I have kept you here. I want to work out one thing here for you. Give me, as our last bit, what is your piece of advice for someone to get started? Who's out there saying, wait a minute, I'm never going to be out there getting Grammy Awards, but I don't know if I can even do what Amanda's doing.
You're never going to get there unless you try. You have to try. You have to learn. You have to fail. You have to record something completely garbage and to go, oh yeah, you know what? That was really bad. Let's do it again. You have to try and you can't be afraid of it.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I think people who are interested in audiobooks need to listen deeply to audiobooks, listen beyond the entertainment to the craft. I'm feeling an emotional response. What did he do that triggered that in me? How did she create that man's voice that sounded so real? What was she doing? Just listen technically and get some training from somebody reputable. Don't trust that because somebody says they're a great mentor. Do your due diligence. There's a lot of money in this industry from people who are representing expertise that may not deserve it. So be careful with who you're investing time with, and then invest the time with an excellent mentor, with coaches, with classes, and then trust that when you're ready to get out in the professional industry, you're a member of PANA, you've explored APA, you read audiophile, you're in the industry, then don't stay forever training. Get out and do it and audition and fail and try and get on the job training. Don't stay in classes with insecurity that you're not ready, because I'm going to be growing in this craft until my very last breath. There's never a point where you're perfect and everything's perfect. We're never going to be. So keep it messy and get out.
When we talked about diversity earlier, I admit I screwed up. Maybe I didn't even think about age, as in how could you age out of narrating? I mean, unless
technology
Yeah.
Technology has left some people behind because it's a learning curve to manage lots of home recording is how the industry works. Not all, but lots. And then I think vocal harm, like your voice is an instrument. You have to take care of it, stay hydrated, don't smoke. Keep your body healthy so your voice is healthy. But yeah, people don't too. I know people in their 70s, 80s who are still doing audiobooks, and they're fantastic. So I hope that it's not ever going to age me out. I won't go.
Good.
Try.
Good. Hey,
Try to get me out of here.
We like this. Okay, folks. Thank you both so much for being here. As always, the contact information for our guests is in the show notes to reach out to them for what you need. Let me throw up our final slide here. If there is a topic that you would like to see us cover next month or any future month, let us know. creationstation@broward.org. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is great.